You wake up. The room is still dark and quiet. You look at the clock and realize you have slept straight through the night. For a brief moment, you feel a quiet sense of pride. Sleep does not always come easily these days. So, a full 8 hours of unbroken rest feels like a genuine victory. You tell yourself that your body is healing. You tell yourself that you are doing things right. But then you swing your legs over the edge of the bed. You plant your bare feet on the cold floor. And as you put your weight down and try to stand up there, it is again that familiar heavy stiffness, a deep, dull ache wrapping around your lower back, maybe a tight, sharp pull radiating from your neck down to your shoulder blades. You take a slow breath. You stretch your arms. You tell yourself it is just morning stiffness. You brush it off as just another normal part of getting older. You walk it off on the way to the kitchen to make your morning coffee. And within an hour, you forget all about it. But what if that stiffness has very little to do with your age? What if your body is not just experiencing random wear and tear? What if your morning pain is trying to tell you a very specific story about exactly what happened during those 8 hours when you thought you were resting safely? Because the truth is, the very position that helps you fall asleep might be the exact same thing that is quietly wearing out your spine. This is a story that plays out in millions of bedrooms every single morning. It is happening to people who think they are doing everything right. Take Marcus, for example. Marcus lives in Grand Rapids, Michigan. It is a city where winter mornings are often bitter cold and the sky stays gray for days. Marcus is 69 years old. Every single morning, he goes through the exact same quiet routine. He wears his old flannel pajamas. He slides his feet into a pair of slippers with worn-out edges. He slowly walks down the wooden stairs to the basement just to check the furnace. He likes to make sure the house stays warm. Then he walks outside to the end of his snowy driveway. The freezing wind hits his face. He reaches out to open the cold metal mailbox and pulls out a small stack of envelopes. Most of them are medical insurance statements. And right at that exact moment, as he twists his body to push the mailbox door shut, it is a sudden tight grip deep in his lower back. It forces him to freeze for a second. But Marcus reacts the way many men his generation react. He tightens his jaw. He forces himself to stand up straight. He tells himself he just needs to walk it off. He absolutely refuses to tell his children about this pain. He knows his kids mean well, but they worry too much. If he tells them his back is acting up again, they might start talking about hiring help, or worse, suggesting he sell his house and move into a managed care facility. Marcus guards his independence fiercely. He wants to remain the master of his own life. So he blames the cold Michigan weather. He blames all those years of hard work. He accepts the pain as the price of getting older. He never once suspects that his favorite way to sleep is what is actually causing the damage. 1,000 miles away, in Savannah, Georgia, the mornings feel completely different, but the story is exactly the same. The air in Savannah is thick and heavy with humidity. Beatrice is 73 years old. She sits on her wide wooden front porch in her favorite rocking chair. She holds a warm cup of black tea in her hands. The neighborhood is perfectly still. From the outside, she looks like a woman peacefully enjoying her golden years under the shade of the old oak trees. But the reality is entirely different. Beatrice is sitting completely still because she has to. Her neck and her upper shoulders are locked in a rigid state of tension. A large delivery truck rumbles past her front lawn. She wants to look and see if they are dropping off a package. But when she tries to turn her head, a sharp, agonizing stiffness shoots from the base of her skull straight down into her shoulder blades. She cannot turn her neck. She has to slowly twist her entire upper body just to look at the street. Beatrice lets out a quiet sigh. She convinces herself that she simply spent too much time bent over her garden yesterday. She tells herself she just pulled a muscle sweeping the porch. She will not complain about it to her daughter when they talk on the phone later today. Beatrice hates the idea of becoming a burden. She hates the thought of disrupting her family with her physical complaints. She wants everything to carry on as normal. But what Beatrice does not realize is that her garden had absolutely nothing to do with her stiff neck. Both Marcus and Beatrice are falling into the same trap. They are blaming their daily activities and their age for a problem that actually happens in the dead of night. To understand why this happens, we have to look at how our bodies change over time. When we are 20 or 30 years old, our bodies are incredibly forgiving. You could fall asleep on a hard floor or twisted on a small sofa and wake up feeling perfectly fine. At that age, the discs between your spinal bones are plump and full of water. Your ligaments, which hold everything together, are elastic and resilient. They bounce back quickly from bad positions. But after you cross the age of 65, the mechanics of your body slowly change. It is not a disease. It is just physics. Those spongy discs in your spine naturally lose some of their water content. They become a little flatter and a little less bouncy. The ligaments become less stretchy. Think of a heavy wooden door on an old house. When the hinges are new, the door swings freely. But after decades of use, the hinges become a little less forgiving. If you leave that heavy door wedged open at an awkward angle all night, the hinges are going to protest when you try to close it in the morning. Your spine works the same way. When you are awake, you are constantly moving. You shift your weight. You walk. You sit down. You stand up. The pressure on your spine is constantly changing and moving around. But when you sleep, you often stay in one position for hours at a time. If that position is slightly out of alignment, you are forcing those older, less elastic ligaments to stretch and hold a heavy load for 5 or 6 or 7 hours straight. That is not just resting. That is an endurance test for your joints. There are 5 common sleeping positions that people over 65 use every night. These positions feel wonderfully comfortable when you first get into bed. They give you a false sense of security, but they are quietly creating the stiffness you feel the next morning. The first position is perhaps the most common of all. We can call it the asymmetrical side fling. This is how it happens. You lie on your side, which feels like a good start, but then you roll your upper shoulder slightly forward toward the mattress. You take your top leg and you throw it far over your bottom leg, resting your knee heavily on the bed. When you do this at 11 o'clock at night, it feels incredibly relaxing. It feels like you are finally letting go of all the tension of the day. But let us look at what is happening to your skeleton in this position. By throwing that top leg over and dropping your knee to the mattress, you are twisting your pelvis. Your hips are now facing down toward the bed, while your upper chest is still facing sideways. This creates a deep, continuous twisting motion right in your lower back. Your lumbar spine is essentially being wrung out like a wet towel. For the first hour you do not feel anything, because your muscles are relaxed. But by hour 3 or 4, the muscles that usually support your spine get deeply fatigued. They stop working. Now all of that twisting force is transferred directly into your spinal joints and your lower back ligaments. You are leaving your lower spine locked in a twisted, unnatural angle for the entire night. This is exactly why Marcus feels that sharp stabbing pain when he reaches for his mailbox. His lower back has been twisted for 8 hours. When he finally stands up and walks outside, the cold morning air, combined with the sudden movement, is a shock to ligaments that have been stretched to their limit all night. The pain is his body begging for relief from the twisting. The second dangerous position is one of the most natural human instincts in the world. We can call it the fetal tuck. Many people naturally curl up when they get into bed. They bring their knees high up toward their chest. They round their shoulders forward. They tuck their chin down tightly. It is a position of ultimate protection. It makes us feel secure and warm. For someone who lives alone or feels anxious about the world, curling up tightly feels like building a safe little cocoon. But while your mind feels safe, your body is quietly suffocating. When you pull your knees up that high and round your back into a tight ball, you are pulling them tight and holding them there. Imagine taking a rubber band, stretching it tight, and leaving it on a table for 8 hours. When you finally pick it up, it will not snap back the way it used to. It will be loose and weak. Furthermore, the fetal tuck crushes your chest inward. It compresses your diaphragm. Your lungs cannot fully expand. Because you are taking shallower breaths, your blood gets slightly less oxygen. And oxygen is exactly what your muscles need to repair themselves overnight. So you wake up with a back that feels overstretched and a body that feels strangely exhausted, even though you slept all night. You think you rested, but your spine was fighting a losing battle against extreme tension. These two positions are deeply ingrained habits for many of us, but they are only the beginning of the story. There are 3 more subtle sleeping habits that silently damage the upper spine and the neck area. These are the habits that make Beatrice feel like she cannot even turn her head to watch the street. The third position is one that many people swear by. Let us call it the free-fall stomach sleep. You lie flat on your belly. Your arms might be tucked tightly under your pillow or splayed out wide to the sides. But because humans need to breathe, you cannot sleep with your face planted straight down into the mattress. You have to turn your head sharply to the left or to the right. When you are younger, this seems entirely harmless. Your body just adapts. But as you pass your middle 60s, this position becomes a silent trap for your cervical spine. This is exactly what happens to Beatrice. She loves sleeping on her stomach. It makes her feel grounded and secure. It stops her from tossing and turning. But think about the mechanical reality of what her neck is doing in the dark. Her head is twisted at a 90-degree angle for hours at a time. Imagine standing up in your kitchen and turning your head as far over your shoulder as you possibly can. Now imagine holding that exact pose for 6 solid hours. You would never do that while awake. The pain would be unbearable. Yet that is exactly what stomach sleepers do every single night, without realizing it. When your head is cranked to one side for that long, the joints on one side of your neck get jammed tightly together. Meanwhile, the joints and ligaments on the opposite side are stretched incredibly thin. The small, delicate nerves that travel down from your neck and across your shoulders get pinched in those tight compressed spaces. It cuts off the natural pathways. By the time the sun comes up, those joints are inflamed and angry. When Beatrice wakes up and tries to look at the delivery truck outside her house, her muscles instinctively freeze up. They lock her neck in place to protect the spine from further damage. It was never the gardening. It was the extreme rotation she forced upon her neck while she was perfectly still. Then we have the fourth habit. This one often starts long before you even turn out the lights. We can call it the high pillow prop. You get into bed early. You stack 2 or 3 thick pillows behind your head. You do this so you can read a book or watch the evening news on television. For many older adults, the television is a comforting companion. It helps quiet a racing mind. It distracts you from the heavy worries of the day. You might be stressing about your retirement savings shrinking. You might be anxious about a confusing letter from Medicare. You might be quietly worrying about your grown children. So you let the soft glow of the television lull you into a state of drowsiness. And without even realizing it, you drift off to sleep right there in that propped-up position. This feels like a harmless accident, but it is devastating for your posture. Your head is pushed far forward. Your chin is practically resting right on your chest. The human neck is designed to have a gentle backward curve. This natural curve acts like a crucial shock absorber for the heavy weight of your head. And your head is remarkably heavy. It weighs about 10 to 12 pounds. When you prop your head up on those thick pillows, you are forcing that natural curve to bend the wrong way. You are hanging a 12-pound weight directly on the delicate ligaments at the base of your neck. Over time, this constant forward bending overworks the muscles in your upper back and shoulders. They have to strain all night long just to keep your head supported in that awkward forward tilt. You wake up with burning shoulders and tension headaches that start at the base of your skull. You might blame the stress of the news you watched the night before. You might take a painkiller and hope it goes away. But the real culprit is the angle of those stacked pillows, slowly reshaping the alignment of your spine. Finally, we arrive at the fifth position. It is perhaps the most deceptive one of all, because it often does not even happen in a bed. We will call it the couch slump. This usually happens right after dinner. You sit down in your favorite recliner or sink into the deep, comfortable cushions of your living room sofa. The house is quiet. The warmth of the room wraps around you. Your eyelids get heavy. You tell yourself you are just going to rest your eyes for a few minutes during the commercial break. You do not intend to fall asleep. But the next thing you know, 2 or 3 hours have passed. You wake up completely disoriented in the dark. Sleeping in a recliner or a soft sofa might feel cozy, but it completely ruins your spinal alignment. Sofas are designed for sitting. They are not designed for the long-term support of a sleeping human body. When you fall asleep, slumped down in a chair, your pelvis tilts backward. Your lower back loses its natural supportive arch and rounds out into a deep collapsed curve. All the weight of your upper body sinks downward. Gravity does not stop working just because you are asleep. All that downward pressure goes straight to the very lowest discs in your spine. These are the exact same discs that carry the heaviest burden during your waking hours when you are walking and bending and lifting. Instead of giving those hard-working discs a break at night, you are subjecting them to a concentrated, crushing force. Many people in their late 60s and 70s fall into this habit frequently. Sometimes they do it because lying flat in a real bed causes acid reflux. Sometimes they do it simply because they are too exhausted to make the long walk down the hallway to the bedroom. They wake up at 2 in the morning with a stiff, achy back. They blindly stumble into the bedroom, hoping the pain will just fade by morning. But the compression damage for that night is already done. The fluid inside the spinal discs has been squeezed out by the bad angle. The lower back is left feeling raw and deeply fatigued. We fall into these 5 traps because we naturally crave comfort. We crave familiarity. When your body starts to ache more during the day, your natural instinct is to seek the easiest and most comforting position at night. You are just trying to find a little bit of peace in a body that feels increasingly unpredictable. You want to feel safe. The fetal position feels safe. The recliner feels like a warm hug. But the harsh reality of human anatomy is that the positions that feel the most comforting at bedtime are often the ones doing the most silent harm over the long run. Your spine is constantly crying out for neutrality. It wants balance. It wants the pressure to be distributed evenly. But instead of neutrality, we give it extremes. We twist it. We curl it. We prop it up. We let it slump. And because the physical pain only shows up the next morning, it is incredibly easy to place the blame somewhere else. We blame the damp weather. We blame the yard work. We blame the mattress. Most of all, we use our age as a convenient excuse to avoid looking closer at our daily habits. We say things like, "My body is just breaking down." We say things like, "I guess this is just my life now." We silently accept a lower quality of life because we believe it is mandatory. We choose silence because speaking up feels like a risk. If you complain about your back hurting every morning, people start treating you differently. Your children might start hovering over you. They might tell you to stop driving or stop climbing the stairs. They might look at you with pity. For someone who has spent their entire adult life taking care of others, being looked at with pity is the worst feeling in the world. So you swallow the pain. You accept the morning stiffness as a permanent roommate. You keep doing the same things, night after night, hoping for a different result. But accepting unnecessary pain is not a requirement of getting older. Your body is not betraying you. It is simply responding to the mechanical stresses you are placing on it. Understanding what your joints and ligaments actually need when they rest is the very first step toward reclaiming your mornings. The beauty of this situation is that it is entirely within your control. You do not need expensive surgeries or endless bottles of medication to fix a mechanical problem. You just need to change the mechanics. And the best news of all is that you do not have to completely abandon your favorite ways to sleep. You do not have to force yourself to sleep like a stiff board staring up at the ceiling. You just need to make tiny compromises. If you are someone like Marcus, who loves sleeping on his side, you do not have to stop. You just need to stop the twisting. The simplest tool in the world is a single firm pillow placed right between your knees. When you put a pillow between your knees, your top leg cannot drop all the way down to the mattress. That means your pelvis stays square. Your hips remain perfectly stacked on top of each other. The twisting force on your lower back is instantly gone. Your spine gets to rest in a neutral straight line. It is a tiny change, but it changes the entire mechanical reality of your night. If you naturally curl up into the fetal position, you just need to loosen the knot. Instead of pulling your knees high up to your chin, push them down just a few inches. Let your chest open up. Give your lungs the room they need to expand. You still get the comfort of feeling secure and protected, but you stop stretching your back ligaments to their absolute breaking point. You allow your muscles to actually rest instead of forcing them to hold a tight stretch all night long. For stomach sleepers like Beatrice, the transition can be tricky. If sleeping on your stomach is the only way you can drift off, you can lean slightly against it, so you are half on your stomach and half on your side. This simple angle prevents your head from having to turn completely flat to the mattress. It takes the extreme pressure off those delicate neck joints. It gives the nerves room to breathe and prevents the muscles from locking up to protect the spine. And for those who read or watch television in bed, the fix is about protecting that crucial natural curve. Take away the stack of thick pillows. Use one single pillow that supports the curve of your neck without pushing your chin forward into your chest. If you are afraid of falling asleep in the recliner, make a firm rule for yourself. Watch your evening shows and enjoy your quiet time. But when your eyelids start getting heavy, force yourself to stand up. Make that walk down the hallway to your real bed. It might feel like a chore in the moment, but your lower spine will thank you deeply the next morning. These are not dramatic medical interventions. They are quiet acts of understanding. Your body is an incredibly loyal companion. It has carried you through decades of hard work. It has carried you through raising a family, through building a life, and through all the heavy burdens you have had to shoulder. Now that you are older, your body is not asking you to stop living. It is not trying to betray you. It is simply asking you to pay a little more attention. It is asking for a little more grace. The hardest part of getting older is not the physical changes. It is the mental resistance to those changes. We hold on to our old habits because they represent the people we used to be. We sleep the way we did in our 30s because we want to believe we still have the bodies we had in our 30s. And when the pain comes, we swallow the stiffness because we are terrified of losing our independence. We are terrified of becoming the very thing we have spent our whole lives taking care of, a burden. But true independence does not come from ignoring the signals your body is sending you. True independence comes from adapting. It comes from looking clearly at what is no longer working and making the small, intelligent choices to fix it. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning in that quiet, dark room. Imagine swinging your legs over the side of the bed and planting your bare feet on the cold floor. But this time when you stand up, the heavy stiffness is not there. There is no sharp pull in your lower back. There is no rigid lock in your shoulders. There is only the normal, gentle feeling of a body that has actually rested. Imagine Marcus walking out to his snowy driveway, reaching into the cold metal mailbox and feeling completely fine. Imagine Beatrice sitting on her wooden porch in the southern heat, freely turning her head to wave at a neighbor without wincing in pain. This is not a miracle. It is just the result of working with your body instead of fighting against it in the dark. We spend a third of our lives with our eyes closed. For a long time we thought of sleep as a blank space where nothing happens. But the truth is, those dark, quiet hours are actively shaping the way we experience our waking lives. Getting older does mean making adjustments, but it absolutely does not mean surrendering your comfort or accepting unnecessary pain. It just means learning a new way to listen. It means letting go of the habits that no longer serve you, so you can hold on to the independence that means everything to you.